Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
We are continuing our lesson on Newton's third law, and someone can recite for us. Yes, Jackson?
For every force or action, there is an equal and opposite force or reaction.
Thank you. And yesterday, we looked at representing forces. We were looking at velocity vectors. Again, let's have a definition of a vector. Who'd like to, Matt?
A line with speed and direction.
Okay, a line
Not
that
a line,
represents
yeah.
speed and direction. Does it represent speed?
Velocity.
Why? What's the difference?
Velocity shows you direction, right?
Okay, velocity is a vector quantity. It has both.
Direction and magnitude.
Magnitude is the word we are looking for. It has both direction and magnitude. Who remembers what a free body diagram is? We haven't talked about those in a while.
Oh, where it like shows like a picture with vectors and like the force that each like object is put in.
Okay, it shows a picture, an illustration of a situation where it has the force vectors drawn on the objects. So, on the sheet in front of you, you have this diagram. This is forces in action. So we're looking at Newton's first law and how the different actions are resulting in forces in two directions. One is your action force and one is your reaction force. So in the example, a fist is punching the wall. The first force, what's the action? Anthony.
The person punching the wall.
The person exerting force on the wall. What is the actual object that's exerting the force?
His hand.
His hand. His hand is hitting the wall, where the contact is. So yes, his muscles are behind that, but it's his hand that does it. So his hand hits the wall. What's the reaction force? Someone different. Someone different. Jack.
The wall exerts force.
The wall is exerting a force back. If the wall did not exert a force back, what would happen to the person?
His hand would go through the wall.
His hand would actually just keep going through. There wouldn't be any force stopping him. Okay? So as an example, if there was no normal force acting on me right now, who remembers what the other word for normal force is?
Does it start with an S?
It does start with an S.
Stronghold?
No.
Uh,
No one remembers?
What's the second one?
Still force?
I'll just spell it for you.
What's the second one?
You.
Oh, support force.
Very good. Okay, so the other name for a normal force is your support force. All of you are experiencing a support right now. What from?
chair.
From your chair, exactly. So if I was not experiencing any support force, what direction would I be moving? I would be moving down. What's pulling me down?
Gravity.
Gravity is pulling me down. And gravity is constantly acting on you. Otherwise, if it wasn't, what would you be doing right now?
Floating.
You'd be floating.
What's the support force for the ground? Like, why is
Good
the
question.
ground-
What's the support force for the ground? We're on,
The
crust.
The crust.
okay, so you're going down deep. So we have this building we're in.
Yeah.
And inside the floor is a frame. Framing is, I think, what they call that. And they build the floor on it, and that supports us. But what supports the frame? The concrete. They create a foundation. What supports the foundation? The dirt. And you get down into the earth, and if you keep going, you get to the crust, you get to the upper mantle, the lower mantle, the core, the upper core, the inner core. It's all supporting. And that's the center. And that's where the support starts from. And that's actually where gravity is coming from as well. So, in the second picture, the description says the head bumps the ball. What's the reactive force?
The ball going away.
No.
Ball bumps it.
The ball moving is the result. But what's the reactive force?
The ball bumps head.
No, yes, sorry. I had to read it again. I thought you said the same thing. Head bumps the ball bumps the head. Okay? So it's where the contact is happening. The ball's hitting the person head butts the ball. The ball is exerting force on the head. What about this is one of my favorites. I love doing problems with this. What's happening there?
Would it be bug hits windshield?
The bug is hitting the windshield. So, really quick, because I do love this example, why does the windshield not shatter?
Because it's only a bug. And like the car's already going forward.
The car is moving forward. And the bug hits the windshield. Windshield is glass. Glass breaks.
Because the bug doesn't have enough mass.
That's the word. It doesn't exert enough force. Technically speaking, actually, the force is the same. But the mass is different. The mass is significantly different. So what other variable, we're going to get to it in a little bit, but what other variable will also be different?
Speed.
Not the speed,
Velocity.
not velocity. Say that louder.
Acceleration.
Acceleration, very good. Okay, so now the next example on the paper. If you remember from the reading in your book, there's an example of a boxer punching a piece of paper midair. What force, let's just take a guess, what force does the boxer exert on that paper?
15 newtons.
15 newtons?
Yeah.
What if it was you punching the paper?
Oh, that's like 45 newtons.
I'd say
I
like
would say it would
150.
be more like 450 newtons, honestly.
Wow.
So when you exert a force, you are exerting more than you realize, I guess. Let's say it's 400 newtons. Just make an even number. So how much force is that paper exerting on the boxer?
650. More than
400.
No, if
And
the
the
boxer
exerting
punch
the same
400,
force.
I think a boxer can punch more.
No, we're using positive
saying
now.
that the boxer exerts 400 newtons.
Is it the same?
So I'm like three
So it's
Say that louder.
The same amount
So
of
it'd be
force as
400.
the boxer is producing.
The same amount of force that the boxer is producing. Okay? Whatever the boxer exerts is what the paper exerts back on the boxer. Okay? It is an action-reaction pair, and whatever force is exerted back. If the boxer exerted more force than the paper did, what would happen to the boxer? The boxer's exerting more force. His hand's going to go through the paper.
Yes.
Or he's going to have so much force. Let me give you an example you're familiar with. What happens to you if you think that something's really heavy and you go to lift it, or actually push it is a better example, or pull it, and it's not as heavy as you think? You fall. You're about to exert a ton of force, and all of a sudden there's nothing there. You fall. It's the same thing if you go to sit down and you think there's a chair there and there's no chair.
Someone yanks it from under you.
Yes, exactly. Hopefully we don't do that to each other. So, now, the boxer, whatever force he exerts, that's what the paper exerts back. What if the paper exerted more force?
Then the boxer's hand would stop. Or slow down. Decelerate.
But isn't it impossible to break a piece of paper?
What?
Whoa.
Right.
No, like punching. It's
Okay, wait. No, stop.
exactly.
I didn't take extras. Okay,
Good
so,
thing.
yes, you can break a piece of paper, but what if the paper exerts more force? What would the boxer's hand stop?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, the boxer's hand would stop. What if he's not expecting the force? Who would expect a high force from a piece of paper?
It'll push him back.
It will push him back. Okay? The way we know that the force is the same, that the paper, gentlemen, that the paper is exerting the same force that the boxer exerts, is that
Doesn't break.
he doesn't go backward and the paper doesn't break. Okay? So now, last thing. You have to draw a free body diagram, bless you,
Thank you.
a free body diagram of yourself sitting in your chair.
Wait, are these